Okay, I'd like to share a great book. It's called Herzl's Vision, Theodore Herzl and the Foundation of the Jewish State by Shlomo Avineri. This biography of Theodore Herzl is a fascinating study of an assimilated European Jew who is moved to utopian dreams to solve the problem of anti Semitism by devising a practical plan that was not utopian. His, his book, The Jewish State, was a practical guide. He is unaware of his predecessor, Moses Hess, who concludes the same ideas that the Jewish people will ultimately not be accepted by the outside world and the need for their own state to be independent on the one hand and to be accepted on as a nation on the other. Mr. Avineri conceptualizes Herzl's whole career by detailing his failed attempt at getting a sympathetic commitment from the German Kaiser in his meeting at Cairo in 1898. Herzl's determination in seeking approval of the international community was essential in his mind in solving the Jewish problem. If the world would give its approval to a separate Jewish state, there would be legitimacy to such a state and no argument to its existence. Herzl believes this so wholeheartedly that in his program of establishing a nation state, the Jewish state would not have to have an army, since international acceptance would mean nobody would pose a threat to it. Clearly, Herzl underestimated the Arab world and did not perceive the hesitancy of the Ottomans of Turkey correctly. In many ways, Herzl thought that the issue would be money. If he would be able to find out exactly how much aid would produce acceptance, might be successful. About his program for a Jewish state, here is a curious fact. Herzl did not believe that Hebrew would be the official language of the Jewish country. He believes that a better model would be a country like Switzerland, where there are many official languages. He reasons that the Jewish people are a dispersed nation all over the globe, speaking many different languages. Hebrew is just not practical since it's only a liturgical dead language. Herzl is completely unaware of what was going on in Israel, Palestine at the time, with a rejuvenation and revival of the language with the Yishuv from the Chovevei Tzion settlers. Herzl gains enormous popularity with Eastern European Jewry. Those communities are educated Jewish communities that suffer from deep hatred of the Gentile world. The yearnings for Zion are a natural outgrowth. Herzl's own Central European communities were slow to accept the Jewish people as a separate nation, calling into question their loyalty to their host nations. His popularity gained such strength in Russia that he is heralded as king, something he rejects outright. Mr. Avineri points out that a common understanding about Herzl and the Dreyfus trial lacks evidence. The conventional understanding of Herzl's awakening about anti Semitism comes from his coverage of the Dreyfus trial. Professor Avineri adroitly points out that Herzl's coverage is rather dry and factual, not even questioning Dreyfus's guilt at the first trial. There is no comment or thought about the anti Semitism that is drummed up during the affair, recorded in Herzl's personal diaries, an extensive source of Herzl's mindset. Clearly, Herzl understood the horrible problem of anti Semitism. However, there is no tangible evidence that the Dreyfus affair was the impetus. The greatest blunder of Herzl's career was the offering of Uganda as an option for the Jewish state. Herzl was intent on not dismissing the offer from the British so as to keep the international lines of communication open. He knew that Palestine was the real option and that he could sense that Uganda, if an option, could only be a stopgap measure for the immediate needs of those seeking refuge from the violent pogroms in Russia. When he put Uganda on the agenda during the Seventh Zionist Congress, he was traumatized and shocked by the tremendous upheaval it caused and damaged his image with the Eastern European Jews. The ferocious negative response dealt Herzl such a blow that he never really recovered and was dead 6 months later. The arguments against the option were simple. One would be naive to think that one could get Palestine if there was a Jewish state in Uganda. One would argue, what do you need Palestine if you already have a refuge and you have a refuge state in Uganda? And although the Uganda option passed at the Congress, nevertheless, real fissures formed against Herzl. He and Menachem Ushishkin, head of the Russian Zionist group, had to make amends. The Uganda option went nowhere. Herzl is the one person responsible in creating the concept that a Jewish state was a real possibility. He is responsible for creating the Zionist Congress and the Jewish Agency. He also created an international awareness that eventually created the modern state of Israel. Although it took 2 world wars and the Holocaust, Herzl's dream came to fruition with the World Agency of the UN giving acceptance. Professor Avineri is a great scholar. It is a wonderful book. Highly recommended if anybody's interested in the history of Zionism, modern Zionism.